This video is sponsored by Alcid eHomes, whose mission it is to accelerate the advent of sustainable, healthy living systems around the world. Hi, and welcome to Best in Tesla. Well, let's take a little dive into why I think full self-driving will take on insanely quickly and why people really are going to want it. Because we also just heard Herbert Diess say Tesla's lead is getting bigger because they already have 2 million data collectors on the road. Yes, exactly. Herbert does get it. Tesla is in the lead and will win the race for sure. But more importantly, to this video he also said you're going to get a lot of convenience for relatively little money, which is why it's going to catch on quickly. Yes, and there are even much more to it. I see a lot of comments on this and people don't really believe in full self-driving cars, but I would like to try to show some examples here of why the majority of people will choose a full self-driving car and choose not to own a car. So let's check it out and let's dive right in. So let's take a look at why this will catch on so very quickly. Firstly, the price. Whenever there has been something that is 10 times cheaper, it catches on pretty quickly. When something hits your wallet, it tends to have a quick effect. And we of course don't know exactly how this will be rolling out or what the prices will be and how they will do it, but I think there could be some different options as well. But let's start with some of the things we do know. Elon said the robotaxi service will cost about 18 cents per mile. And we know the Americans drive an average of 30 miles per day. And the average purchase price of light vehicles in the US was about $38,000 in 2020. But more importantly, the average total cost of ownership of a car in 2019 was $9,282. This is of course an ICE car, so the true cost of ownership will be much lower if you're buying an electric car. But let's just stick with ICE cars because I do believe that full self-driving will be here in a couple of years. So we will still have ICE cars around, and they will not only be disrupted by EV, but also smart software in the EVs and of course full self-driving cars that will only be EVs and no ICE cars. So $9,282 is the average true cost of ownership per year for a car in the US. Yes, it is very expensive to have a car. So let's start by saying that the average American will use a robotaxi service every day instead of owning an average car. So that means 18 cents times 30 miles, that is $5.4 per day. That would end up being $1,971 per year. If you drive 30 miles every single day for 365 days a year. So the average American person will save about $7,311 per year if that person used a robotaxi every single day for 30 miles instead of owning a car. And then he doesn't have to worry about insurance, don't care if the car gets dents or have to get fixed, don't worry about maintenance, buying new tires every other year, even for EV owners, don't have to skip that Friday beer or two with your colleagues because you don't drive, the car does. And he can even just send the car to drop off and pick up the kids from school, maybe saving him an hour or two a day. I know that would save me about 2 hours a day. That is very valuable in itself, as is when you have to go for a long drive for an hour or two, that you can sit and do some work or whatever rocks your boat. You will probably get a couple of hours on average extra per day in your life because you use a robotaxi instead of driving yourself. This alone could be so valuable for some people they would use robotaxi on this fact alone. But you will save an average of $7,311 per year. And let's say the young person gets the car when they are about 18 years old. That is when I got my first car. And I hope I can drive until I'm 90 years old. So that will be 72 years that a young person will save about $7,311 per year. That is $526,392 he would save during his lifetime as a car driver. So you would save the equivalent of almost 14 average cars in the US. And on top of all this, remember, if you work in the city, you would probably have to pay for parking if you own a car. And here in my city, many of my former co-workers paid about $150 per month for just parking. And just try to think about all the parking you have paid for through the years in your life so far. The one using the robo-taxis will never have to pay for that either. So that's just so many things that you will save money on, so many headaches about owning a car you don't have to worry about anymore. You will get so much time back in your life, and you will never have to worry about driving drunk or sleepy or being distracted or worry about being killed or killing someone in the traffic. There are so many things speaking for full self-driving cars that the majority of people will choose this. There will of course always be someone that will never change their way, will never buy an electric car, will never get into a full self-driving car, and so on and so on. But here we are talking about the majority will, when it is going to be so much cheaper and convenient. Just think of all the people that don't drive today because they are old and don't dare to drive anymore, blind or whatever, or just don't want the hassle of owning a car. They will all be able to drive anywhere they like and don't have to worry about a thing, and it will be cheaper for them than owning a car. Yeah, don't tell me this will not take off like a bat out of hell. It will. And maybe there will be other options to this as well, because many people say, I will never use only robotaxis because of all the stuff I have in my car that I use on a daily basis, and I will not share my car, and so on and so on. Okay, but you could probably also just buy the Tesla car and then subscribe to the full self-driving software to your car. Because if you want to buy the full self-driving software with the car, you probably have to pay something like $250,000 or $300,000. So don't think many will do this. Right now, you can subscribe to Tesla's full self-driving software for about $200 a month and $10 for connectivity and so on. And that will probably go up in the future. We don't know. But let's just say it would cost about $400 a month to Tesla for all their in-car service and software and full self-driving and so on. So now you will have your own car that you have paid about $40,000 for, or maybe $25,000 in the future. And on top of that, you pay $400 a month to Tesla. And on top of that, you of course have to pay for parking, service, insurance, and so on. So definitely doable, but a lot more expensive than just using the robotaxi. But you will have your own car and still have full self-driving. And maybe Tesla will make a third option as well. You don't use the robotaxi, but you don't want to buy the car, but you subscribe to a car. Transport as a service, as someone like Tony Seba has talked about a lot. Maybe something like the price of the subscription to full self-driving software, but you don't have to buy the car first, so an option between the other two. But you will be able to take that car on a holiday for 3 weeks and have all your luggage in it and so on, and it won't drive off when you're not using it playing taxi with all your things in the car. Or maybe you will get a specific car that is yours, but when you are not using it, it will go off and become a part of the robotaxi fleet, or maybe something entirely different setup. I have no idea how this would work, but I'm sure there will be more than just robotaxis, but many different ways to do transport as a service, both for people that want their own car or for the people that don't really care, they just need a car to come whenever they need one. But no matter what kind of version Tesla will set up with their full self-driving car, one thing is for sure, it is too convenient for a much lower price for this not to take off Of course, not all will want this, and they can spend the money on having a car, but I think the majority will. Many always says, but it will only work in urban areas. I do think it could work many other places, but okay. Today, 55% of the world's population live in urban areas, a proportion that is expected to increase to 68% by 2050. So the urban areas will still be the majority. And I know some also say, but it will never work because we need a lot more cars in rush hour than the rest of the day. Yes, but that doesn't really matter. Yes, Tesla will probably need to saturate the market with robotaxis so there is enough in the rush hours. But remember, this is an $11 to $12 trillion market according to ARK Invest, so it will be okay for Tesla to have some robotaxi only earning $50,000 or $10,000 a year and not the $30,000 a year. Like Elon said, when full self-driving is solved, it will be the single most valuable thing human has ever created. And Tesla, in my opinion, will kind of have a monopoly on this for quite some time. I still believe Tesla is very, very close. Just look at their beta version right now and what it can do. Just mind-boggling. And I did just make a whole video about how I think their AI is about to hit the bottom of the S-curve and will become much better at driving than humans very soon. But last, it will take years for regulators to approve this. I don't really think so, because when Tesla has full self-driving cars on any street that will allow it, they have all the data to show how much safer than a human driver they are. So they can show, look, we have been driving here with full self-driving cars in this city for 12 months and have not had one single accident. Meanwhile, thousands of people have been killed in your city, and you could save this much money every single year for not having thousands of people injured and hospitalized every single day. I think cities, states and government will demand this when they see how much better and safer this is, how many lives can be saved and how much money can be saved. There are already countries that want to be the first to have full self-driving because they do understand this. So sure, it will not kick off as fast everywhere, but as soon as one place has taken it in and showed to the world how many lives they saved, how can any country not take full self-driving cars in? But we like to kill people. No, this will be demanded. Like I said before, I believe there is a bigger chance that people in the future will not be allowed to drive on public road unless they have a full self-driving software in the car ready to take over at any time. Then countries and regulators will not allow it. I think when people realize they are 1,000 times safer in a full self-driving car than driving by themselves, I think many people will get full self-driving on that fact alone. They will feel kind of unsafe in a normal car that can't take over when, not if, but when they do something stupid, like looking at your phone while driving. So are there really people that think that saving over $500,000 in your lifetime on transportation and not having to worry about a thing and be 1,000 times safer and can actually drink what you want to and don't worry about driving and take a nap while driving or getting some work done, are there really people that think this will not take off? Sure, maybe you will not want one, but if you think in a bigger picture and think on a global scale, I can really not see why full self-driving will not be the dominating form of transportation. And then we haven't even talked about full self-driving trucks, vans, buses, and so on and so on. The saving for these companies is going to be even greater. But what do you think? How do you think Tesla will make all these transportation as a service work? And would you use a robotaxi or subscribe to a car, or will you still want to own your own car? Let me know in the comments below. And thank you for watching. And until next time, take care out there and be nice.